I went there because I was tired. But I go again, so I don't know.
Hmm. Are you explaining or changing your idea?
Oh, this is where sentences start breaking. Because now we're not just speaking words, we're connecting ideas. Because, so, but, and, although, however, these are connectors. They don't just add words, they shape your thinking. And you can hear Emma. She has ideas, but they are not connected clearly. She starts one idea, then changes, then adds another, and everything feels messy.
Yeah, the ideas are there, but the structure is missing. And without connectors working properly, sentences feel unstable.
All right, I'm Zivara, and today we fix something very important: how to connect your ideas. This is where your English starts sounding natural, not just words, but full thoughts. This is day 13, and today is about building smooth sentences, not broken ones.
I'm Oren, and yeah, this is a big step. Because now, you're not just speaking, you're explaining.
Let's feel these connectors, not memorize, feel them. Because gives a reason. I stayed home because I was tired. I stayed home because I was tired. But shows contrast. I was tired, but I went out. I was tired, but I went out. And adds information. I went home and I slept. I went home and I slept. These three alone already change how you speak.
Now the next ones. So shows result. I was tired, so I slept. I was tired, so I slept. Although, contrast, softer. Although I was tired, I worked. Although I was tired, I worked. However, more formal contrast. I was tired. However, I worked. I was tired. However, I worked.
Now, this is the key. Connectors link your ideas. Because gives reason. I stayed because I was tired. So gives result. I was tired, so I stayed. But shows contrast. I was tired, but I went. So your sentence is not just words, it becomes a flow. And when connectors are wrong, your meaning becomes unclear.
Yeah, it's like building a bridge. If the connectors are weak, the whole sentence breaks. All right, now let's step into that moment again. And this time, listen to how Emma is trying to connect her ideas, not just speak. Because this is where most learners struggle. Not with words, but with linking thoughts together.
Yeah, imagine this. You're explaining something simple, but your ideas are jumping. You start one idea, then change it, then add another, but nothing connects smoothly. Just listen.
I went there because I was tired. But I go again, so I don't know.
Wait, you went because you were tired? Or you went again?
I was tired and I go home. But I go out again.
So you were tired, but you still went out?
Yes. Although I was tired, but I worked.
Okay, and what happened after that?
I was tired. However, I continue working.
All right, I understand. But your sentence is a bit confusing.
Okay, let's fix this together and focus on flow, not just words. Emma said, I went there because I was tired, but I go again, so I don't know. We organize it clearly. I went there because I was tired, but I went again, so I'm not sure why.
Then, I was tired and I go home, but I go out again. We fix the tense and flow. I was tired and I went home, but I went out again.
Then, yes, Although I was tired, but I worked. This is a common mistake. We don't use although and but together, so we fix it. Although I was tired, I worked.
Then, I was tired. However, I continue working. We correct the structure. I was tired. However, I continued working.
And finally, so I don't know. We make it more complete. So I'm not sure.
I went there because I was tired. But I went again. So I'm not sure why.
Wait, you went because you were tired? Or you went again?
I was tired and I went home. But I went out again.
So you were tired, but you still went out?
Although I was tired, I worked.
Okay, and what happened after that?
I was tired. However, I continued working.
All right, now it's clear.
Now you can feel the difference. Everything flows.
Yeah, same ideas, but now they connect properly.
All right, your turn. Connect your ideas. I stayed home because I was tired. I stayed home because I was tired. I was tired, but I worked. I was tired, but I worked. I went home and I slept. I went home and I slept. I was tired, so I rested. I was tired, so I rested. Although I was tired, I worked. Although I was tired, I worked. I was tired. However, I continued. I was tired. However, I continued.
All right, let's bring this into real life. Imagine someone asks you, "Why did you stay home?" And before you say broken sentences, "I stay home, tired. I don't know." And it feels confusing, even to you. But now you say, "I stayed home because I was tired, but later I went out." And suddenly, everything is clear. This is the power of connectors. They don't add words, they add meaning. They show your thinking, your logic, your story. Yeah, and that's the real shift. Not just speaking, but connecting your ideas clearly.
All right, let's take a second. Before today, your ideas were separate, broken.
Now they connect, smoothly.
Today, you can now connect your thoughts and speak in full, natural sentences. This is where your English becomes real.
Not just words, but connected ideas.
See you in day 14.